Hi, I'm Dimitriyov, and today we are going to make a second tutorial now where we are going to make a few new pieces to our basic shitty AMX10SCR hull. So what we are going to do today is to work with cylinders. So last time we worked with planes. I didn't correct a few mistakes that could have happened. I'm going to check, simply give them a look. Well, why we don't care currently. So today what we are going to do is that we are going to produce several things. We're going to make this part. I don't know how you call it in English, but well, the mirrors, nothing else than the mirror, okay? So the plate here, this. We're going to make this too, this kind of pieces. Get away you, up. We're going to make a tire with the bolts and this, I don't know how you call them, we are going to call them grip, so we know what it is now. It is grip. I really don't know how you call it again in English. Okay, and well, that's kinda all what we're going to do, and you will see that it is going to keep us busy for, well, actually it would take 5 minutes, but as I'm going to explain it as I do it, well, it will take longer. Okay, so what I want to do first, we are going to start working with a tire. So we are going to enable Scene Explorer, okay, tack, and we are going to hide everything, tack, except one tire. Let's take, for example, no, where is it? It is there. Okay, like this. Okay, so we've got our tire. We don't need this. This is the suspension dampening system. Okay, so we've got our beautiful tire right now, and no, I'm not even going to take this one. I'm going to take some. I'm going to take one with the grip. So where it should be this one, for example. Okay, okay, so this one. No, not this one. This one is better because it is orientated like I want it to be. Okay, so what we are going to do first is what we are going to do this tire. Okay, so the tire, as you can see, actually you may not see it very well, it is composed of several parts. So you've got the grip plus the bolt. If these parts are separated, it is simply because the final 3D model doesn't keep them. I simply do what we call in texturing vocabulary a baking, which is nothing else than projecting the grip, the bolt, etc. As a 3D normal map texture, which is a texture which gives the impression, the feeling to be in 3D on the main tire, and so you really have the feeling that there are the grip, there are the bolts, while they are not there. It's simply a texture, a 3D rendering texture, and so it allows the game to do not calculate a lot of trees for simply this. To give you an idea, this is 5,629 trees here. I did not explain to you, by the way, how to display these statistics because you want to work with them. I'm going to click on plus here, go in configure viewports. Here I've got statistics, and I'm going to check everything plus total plus selection and show statistics in active view, and I apply. Okay. And that's done. Be aware of something. It is not so much known issue on 3ds Max 2016 at least, but I think it appears on others. It is not for the level you are working on currently. If you tend to if you are only beginning, but for more advanced user who may end on this tutorial. As you can see, I created a spline. We call this a spline, so a simple line. It is nothing else than a line. And if you look at my mouse carefully, from time to time, you can see that it is a bit blinking. It is loading. You see? It is loading something. This kind of issue happens on 3ds Max 2016 at least, probably for the next one because I don't think they fixed it. When you put a spline and that you've got the statistics enabled at the same time. So the mouse is going to blink. It may not seem so disturbing and you may not understand why I talk about it, simply because the more you are going to add splines and the more it is going to blink. And at the end of the day, it's simply not usable anymore because your mouse is permanently blinking and you cannot do anything else. As you are going to need, for example, if you make a plane to create lines anyway for the collision model, you want to know this. Okay, so now we are going to look at our tire. So this part, the grip, we don't care right now. So the tire itself is composed of two parts. You've got the main tire around it, and this part here, which was added at the second time. So I'm going to hide this, okay, and you can see that you've got a tire with nothing inside it. I'm going to hide this, okay. And so the idea, the goal now is to be able to create this part. We are going to consider that this there is no hole here, it is filled, okay, so it will look just like this, okay. So first thing I want to do is to get into primitive, so here, standard primitive, and I'm going to check cylinder, okay. And I'm going to put a cylinder here, like this, okay, we put it like this. So now I want to set it up correctly. First I want to remove these edges. It is exactly like you know, when you put a plane, you want to get rid of these edges. So I'm going to set 8 segments to 1. Okay, I remove them. And second part is the amount of sides. So the amount of sides on cylinder is extremely important. Why so? Simply because you are going, for example, to make one first model, which is the high resolution model. So this is this one, for example, is the high resolution model, and it is going to be 250 or 150 triangles. 150,000 triangles, and it's a lot for a vehicle. To give you an idea, the average T72 model in DCS is about 30,000 triangles to calculate. So 150,000 triangles, it's 5 times more. And so you don't want the average player, so let's say a man in his helicopter or a man in his plane, to load so many triangles while he is, let's say, 5 or 10 kilometers from the vehicle, because the only thing he may see on his screen anyway is a pixel and nothing else. So what we are going to do at the end of the process, and you can see it by the way here, we are going to create what we call loads. So load 1, for example. So this is the load 1 for the MX-10 C-Power. Don't take into account the wheels. Then you've got load 2, and you can see that you cannot even see the difference just like this, but there is one, and you can see it there. You've got 31,000 trees on this version, while on this one you've got 53,000, so I diminished everything. And last version 12,000, okay, and finally the last one, it is simply this. Okay, so it is from 5,000 meters, you see only this, and that's perfectly enough. To come back to a cylinder, fact is that the wheels, you saw 53,000 triangles for the main vehicle here, but wheels are going to take a lot, really a lot, because it's cylinder, it needs to be as smooth as possible, and so to give you a nice idea, with the complete load system, etc., well, with the complete detailing, at load 0, this vehicle is going to be, with only the wheels added, around 120,000 trees to load. So you simply gain 70,000, okay, because you've got this, and you do have the screws here, but well, they are not aligned anymore. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but you see there are a lot of screws, etc., to display all these kind of things, and this is going to take a lot. So what you want to do is to be able, for let's say the load 1, so the one that you are going, the model you are going to see from 500 meters, to diminish the amount of sides on your cylinder. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's say that I'm going to show you actually the kind of problem you can fail into. So let's say, for example, we are going to put 25 sides on this one. I'm going to get it as editable poly now. And what I want to do now is simply, well, let's say that I'm from 500 meters. I want simply to divide the amount of sides by 2. So I want simply divide, we are 25, I want 12 sides, for example. Okay, so I'm going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and this. And here you can see that there is a plan, because there is 1 for 2 here each time. But as I made 25 sides, now there I've got 2 just a side, and if I remove them, you can see that suddenly it is not a cylinder anymore. So what you want to do when you create a cylinder is always to create it with an amount of sides which is equal to a multiple of 2. So 16 sides, 32 sides, 64 sides, 128 sides, etc, etc, etc. You cannot go over 200 anyway for beginning. Okay, so like this, I'm going, for example, to set 32. Okay, and I've got my basis. So now what I want to do is to get the proper dimension. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get like this. Of course, it is behind it. It's not a problem. We're going to put it there. Okay. Yep. I'm going to take the proper coordinates to move faster here. Tack. Tack. It is line. Okay. Now what I want to do is simply rotate it by 90 degrees, like this. And I'm going to more or less center it. What is this? It's not the moment, guys. Okay, so tack, we've got it more or less centered. I could of course pick the coordinates of it, but what I want to do at least is to simulate that I only have a blueprint, okay, so only an image and not the complete model, 3D model. So now what I want to do, of course, is not to start with this. I want to start with the entire size of the wheel. So what I'm going to do is go in modify here, so the usual gay rainbow, and I'm going to increase the radius. Tack, 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 tack. Okay, now I'm done. Now I go on top view. I'm going to check. It seems relatively okay for what I want to do. I could even, what I did, this is exactly what I did for this one, for example. We're downside a bit the health 8, like this, we are fine. Okay. So now what I want to do to finish, to prepare my beautiful cylinder, is to center the pivot. So as you can see, the pivot is currently on the basis, one of the faces of the cylinder. I want it to be there. So again, I go here in hierarchy. I click on Effect Poly, Center to Object. I unclick this, and now we are perfectly centered on it. Okay. Now, what I want to do is to convert it to editable poly, and we can start to work. Okay, so we are not going to center it perfectly. We're going to make it more or less a side. Okay, how could I do this to show you in a nice way? Well, we're going to put it there. Okay. So first thing I want to do is never make a cylinder which is a wheel which is nothing else than a simple cylinder. Of course, you want it to be a bit curved, etc., just like you see there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in the plane mode here. I'm going to select this face and this face now. And what I'm going to use is the bevel tool. Bevel 1, I click on it. I'm going to set it up 0 right now. I'm increasing now a bit. I get it to be nice, like this, okay. And now we are going to work like this. So as you can see, you can select so both faces, and it is going to make some kind of symmetry for this tool, which is kind of practical. I increase it a bit, like this. Okay, so now another one, I click again on bevel, okay, like this. Another one, tack, like this. Another one. Now we go back inside the tire. Okay, so we get a bit in negative, like this. Now another one. Tack, we are not too bad. Well, it could even be a bit better in my opinion there. No, no, this is not the result I want to get. Up, tack, like this, okay, a bit more curved. Tack, bevel. Now we start to go back. Tack, bevel again, etc, etc, until I get the shape I want to get. So up, it's not yet, we are not yet at very good radius. One last. I'm going to click on 0 here for now. Get it right. Okay, it should be something like this. Like this. Okay. now we're good. Okay, so just like with this one here, I can simply suppress this plane here. This one, I don't want to remove it because it is behind the vehicle. There is the dampening attached to it. But here we are going to put, you know, the... wait, 1 second, I'm going to get on the vocabulary. DeepL, tag, come to my help. Yes, 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 because they don't speak French and I'm not going to try to speak French with them. Jante. Yes, the rim, exactly the rim. Okay, so we are going to add the rim in the center here. Okay, so now that we did this, we've got this face here, we can simply erase it. Okay, we're fine. So always erase as many faces as you can that are not displayed. To explain a bit more, what I'm going to do is display back, say this one. Yeah, this one. Okay. Okay, so let's take for example this part. Okay, we are going to move it a bit upper, and as you can see, there is nothing beneath it. There is no face beneath it, simply because when I'm going to make my textures, the texture will apply to all the paintable surfaces. Okay, and this surface, if I kept it, well, it's simply a lost surface, and I lose resolution by keeping such thing, because I'm going to paint things that you don't see, and the things that you can see on the other side will be lower resolution, because you needed to spend some texture on the invisible parts. Okay, I hide this back again, and now we're good. Okay, so the first part of our tire is ready. Now what we want to do is to make the rim, so I'm going to display it again. Okay, like this. Yes, I didn't explain you, by the way. If you want to hide something on your model and not suppress it, only hide it, you get on polygon, for example. But you can do it with faces too. We are going to work with polygons. Okay, I select this, for example, the rim, and I click on hide selected. The other way to do if I wanted to hide the tire and not the rim, I would click on hide unselected, and you click on unhide all to unhide everything. A very practical thing. Okay, so from what I see, I went a bit too much in detail with this rim, but anyway, we're going to produce it again. So what we're going to do, first possibility, is simply to select here this one. Actually, I could even have kept the previous cylinder and use this as a basis, but anyway, we're going to do something interesting then. We're going to hold this beautiful face, hold Shift, and we're going to put it there. Okay. And clone to object. It will be a separated object for now. But now I've got a problem. Okay, I'm going to explain it. I didn't explain it when we worked with plates, by the way. So you may notice that this face hasn't the exact same color than this one. This one is really red, intense, while this one is nearly grayish red. Okay, so there is a reason for this. It is what we call normal. A normal is nothing else than a visible and invisible part of a face. So the visible part of a face, it is this one. The invisible part is this one. If I look at this face in a video game or in any application, I will see the face with the correct painting, etc. Fucking mosquito. While if I look at this face, I will simply see through it. It won't be visible. So a nice illustration of it would simply be to say that, let's say I make this tire 3D model here. Okay, if I put it in DCS, for example, I'm going to see through this and through actually the entire part of this, because as you can see, they are inverted normal, while this one is perfect normal. So this is perfectly normal. So what you perfectly normal. So what you want always to avoid is, of course, to get a flipped normal somewhere. So let's take an example. Okay, well, let's invert all of these ones. So I'm going to do it fast. Normal, 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 flip. Okay. So I'm going to check at the end of the 3D making process. Every time I'm finished a model, I'm going to check if the normals are correct, if I didn't do a shit. So the way to do it is simply to select, for example, my model like this, and as you can see here, it is completely inverted. Well, I forgot to mention that actually you cannot simply select one part of the thing and make it and invert it. So as you can see from there, it's quite obvious that there is a big issue. It is completely grayish. So what I already know is that in software like DCS or even in Substance Painter for texturing, I will see across this wheel, and it is of course not what I want. So in order to fix this, what I'm going to do is simply to get here normal, which is one of the values of the numerous filters, normal, and I'm going to check that this one, flip normals, it check. Okay. And I select both of them, I hot control both of them, collapse all. Like this. And now if I select, you can see that it is good again and the inverted part is inside it. Okay, so end of the of this little explanation. So now I want it to be centered, relatively well centered, but I want really to be accurate, this part. I really want it to be perfectly centered. So what I'm going to do is, by the way, no, it is still inverted. So let's say here that I want to invert it. So again, normal. You see, I explained you something and I forget what I need to do. Up, collapse, and now we are good. We will see it normal, in a normal way. Okay, so what I want to do, of course, is to get it centered perfectly, but my main issue is that I cannot do it just like by hand like this. So what I'm going to do is select this beautiful cylinder, take the coordinates, so I want to center it in X. I copy them, X here, pass there, okay. In Y, tac, technically they are already aligned in Y, okay. And in Z, again they are already aligned, but I do it anyway. And Z, okay. And we are done, it is perfectly aligned. So now what I want to do is this thing to just be just a bit bigger, so let's say that the rim will end into this middle part, okay, into these faces. Okay, so what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to get into scale tool, okay, and I'm going to write something like 101, 101, and 101, hopla. And well, it should be fine. I can even increase it a bit, just a bit more. 101, 101, 101. Okay. So now that we are done, what I can do next is simply to bring it here, around here. We are going to take this as a basic distance. It should be okay. Okay. And now, of course, I don't want to leave this gap. As you can see, it's only a plane right now, so I don't want to leave any gap. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to unselect everything. I'm going to go into, for example, there, tack, like this, okay? I'm going to go into the border tool, select border here, and just like we did with the previous tutorial, it's a plane, nothing else. We are going to hold Shift and do this. Okay. So technically it's not finished. Let's imagine now that I would like to increase a bit the amount of polygons. The main issue is that currently, as you can see, contrary to what I told you with the faces, you know, on the previous day, on the previous tutorial, where I told you always want to get 4 vertices faces. Here we have 32 vertices face, and it is not necessarily what we want. So what I could do is get in vertex mode, okay, click on cut here, and now I can simply select these vertices. So one here like this. You won't necessarily see it well up. Did I? Sometimes there are visual glitch, so I don't really know if it works. Okay, this works. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is quite painful. 4, I said, up, 5, 6. This part of the process is not mandatory. I tell you, it's simply to show you, and I'm going to explain you just after this why I do it. 5, I don't know, 6 or 7, up, etc., etc. We're going to move on. Up, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, and like this. Okay, now we're fine for this. Now what I want to do is I'm going to remove it from the tire. I'm going to increase just a bit this part. I'm going to increase the height. I'm going to show you something. Okay, so I'm going to make another cylinder here, like this. Okay, same characteristic actually, but it will not be prepared. And I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm going to do some few things. Okay, so one, I'm going to add one connection here. I'm going to put it one here, like this. I will explain you why I'm doing this just after. And second, I'm going to make a bevel. That will be the simplest way, like 0 here. And I put line, second line, just a second line which is circling here. Okay, and I'm done. Fine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply turbo smooth. Fine. Okay, so what is turbo smooth? The turbo smooth tool is nothing else but, as you can see, a tool which allows you to increase by a fair amount the amount of trees of polygons on a mesh. Okay, so again I put the basic cylinder, as you can see, and what we're going to do is disable the edges so you can really see it like this. Okay, I start iterating and you can see that it becomes, oh, I did a mistake. I went a bit too high. It is going to take a bit minutes. So the turbo smooth is simply going to increase dramatically the amount of trees. So don't do the mistake I just did exactly now, which is to hold the mouse and go up. This is a very common mistake I do, and 3ds Max is going to get logged for a few times. So I think I'm going to make a little break and simply wait for it. So I'm going to cut, and we come back when it is when it has finished to calculate. Okay, so we are back with our beautiful cylinder pre-turbo smooth. So I'm going to enable the turbo smooth again. So again, you select your polygon, you go there, okay, and turbo smooth, turbo smooth, turbo smooth. I never use it, to be honest, but anyway, you need to know how to work. Okay, like this, like this, like this, etc. As you can see. So the idea of the turbo smooth is very simple. The point is that when you make your 3D model, for example, this 3D model, the MX10S here 3D model, when you want to make a texture, then you like to have a far higher polygon model. So this thing is going to make what we call iteration, which means that it is going to divide each face, each 4 vertices face, into 4 vertices face, so into 2 squares. So I'm going to enable it so you can see here we've got one single rectangle. Now we've got one here, and it 2 divided something here. Okay, and etc, 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 and we are going to enable it again, and it increases. The idea is the following: when you are going then to go to your texturing tool, you're going, just like I said earlier, with the rims, with the bolts, with the grip, etc., to bake it in order to get a 3D impression texture. And by the way, don't pay attention to the fact that the texture here looks really shitty. It's simply because 3ds Max doesn't display it at a full resolution at all, and it doesn't display the 3D impression. Even if I wonder if it is able to do it while rendering. Render, let's see if it is able to do it. Take your time. Well, it is more, no, it is not able to display it correctly. It is not able to display it in a fine way. But anyway, the idea will be that you will want to have a high poly model to bake on this lower poly version, because the result with the texture will be far cleaner, far better. So the idea will be, I've got my wheel, for example, I'm going to apply a turbo smooth on it, for example, say up, tuck, you can see, and as you can see here, for example, we've got a mistake because I didn't make square faces here, so it does something extraordinarily shitty on this part. But as you can see, in a general way, I've got a far smoother, far higher polygon wheel. And what I'm going to do then is that I'm going to paint on my low poly by baking, so by projecting the high poly model on it, and it will look far better. The point is fourth that in order to apply a turbo smooth to something like a cylinder or far more complex stuff, you need to prepare it a bit, and this is the point of creating these edges, one here, and to make it to be squares. If I don't make them squares, for example, it is going to try to divide them in triangles and then subdivide triangles, and dividing a triangle in two is not really possible, so it doesn't really know how to do, and you are going to obtain this kind of shape here, which is absolutely shitty. Or even worse, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to show you, let's say here, tag editable poly, and I'm going to enable the tessellate mode. Tack. Whoa. Calm. I'm not going to do this way. Take editable patch, okay, and editable poly again. Okay, so now I've got triangles everywhere, okay, and if I apply turbo smooth on this, it is going to look horrendous. Tack. As you can see, it really doesn't like this idea. Don't really focus on the deformation, okay, simply focus on this. Okay, you see that it is trying to divide triangles and it does really an ugly thing, so we don't keep this. Another point is that if I don't make intermediate edges just like this one extremely near from the corners, I'm going to obtain another thing, and I'm going to explain it just after. So we are going to enable turbo smooth on this stock cylinder. Tack. And I obtain this. And this is of course not something that I want to get. As you can see, it is not good. It is not good at all. So the idea is the following. If I obtain some kind of sphere, but even if I disable, you are going to see that it is a really shitty looking sphere. Most of the time, if you want, for example, to take an already existing 3D model on, I don't know, 3D Studio, etc., this kind of website, you will obtain models which are made of triangles. Okay, simply because during the conversion process they got converted and they went from squares to triangles. And the fact is that sometimes someone wants to come with a relatively low resolution model that he found on the net and simply thinking, yes, I'm going to apply a turbo smooth and it will look extremely nice. Fact is that it doesn't necessarily work. I'm going to do something. We are going to have a look at where I'm going to put it there, auto backup one. We are going to have a look at one save that if I do Gregory sent me, so okay, of a Mr. 4. Okay. And so we are going to up. So already just at the beginning you can see that there are a lot of issues because someone applied turbo smooth on a triangle shape, so it is not really easy to see. But you may notice it. I don't know if the resolution is correct, but there are a lot of strange shapes things, and when I'm going to enable the grid, you are going to understand what it is due to. Up, edge faces, and you can see the horrible thing. So it is very simple actually to understand what happened. It was not made of squares, it was made of triangles, and Gregory applied turbo smooth on this thing which was made of triangles, and you obtain this horrendous thing, while you should obtain a simple square thing with a lot more squares because you applied the turbo smooth. So this is really not something that you want to do, to apply a turbo smooth on something which is made of triangles, because you are going, as you can see, you are going to destroy the geometry. And you are going to have a lot of shitty shadow glitches. As you can see, it is not looking good at all. And when you will start to make your textures, it will be even worse, because all the mistakes, all the issues will perfectly appear on the texture. There will be darker parts, lighter, brighter parts, etc. And when in game you will have shadow issues, etc. Well, it is going to be a nightmare. So we don't want to do this. I'm going back to auto backup. Okay, we go back to him. Move on. Okay, so now to come back to our lines here that I added. The idea of adding lines is simply to tell him, okay, you are going to subdivide this one, okay, in two, but there are limits here, one limit here and one limit here, so you are not going to be able to do this. Actually, it is what it did is very simply to that it put this edge, it suppressed it and he put one edge here and one edge here, okay, and it gives this horrendous thing. And the result at the end, so I apply the turbo smooth, is simply this, and we can see that there is a huge density of edges here and far less as you go for more and more far from it. Okay, so this is the point of turbo smooth. I tried to explain it a bit, but actually if you're a rookie, again, it is not necessarily something that you want to work with, especially because well, it may be obvious, but it needs to understand the geometry, because here we are working on a perfect cylinder, so it's easy. But when you work, for example, on this Mr. Dassault Mr. Model, it is going to be far more complicated to adapt correctly the geometry in order to apply a turbo smooth. Okay, so now that we did this, I don't really need to keep all of this for what I want to do. I can suppress this for now. I'm going to put this rim back in place, so I'm going to get it there like this, okay, and like this, tack. Yes, it is good. And now, exactly like we did for the main tire, we are going to use the bevel tool. So up, I already have this plane selected, so this is perfect. I'm going to apply bevel once. So what it is looking at, so it goes up like this, then it goes down, okay, so up a bit, tack, just like this, okay, then bevel 0, up, okay, then bevel, we go down a bit, we don't touch this, okay, then again bevel 0, okay, and we do something off. We are not going to do it exactly, okay, I think you can understand now the process of doing this. Tack like this, okay, bevel, we take just a bit here, we go up a bit, bevel again 0 in altitude, and tack, we do this, for example, bevel again, tack like this, and we go down, etc, etc, etc. You get the point, I think, right now. Tack, I'm going to make a central thing and it will be all. And well, we are going to end too with a bevel again. Up, tack, tack, like this. Okay. So we've got our rim. It is far less detailed than this one, but it is not really important. We don't really give a fuck. And now, well, let's say that we want to apply a turbo smooth. So what I'm going to do is prepare this one. So as I said, we want squares here. So I select vertex mode and I click on cut here. I count 1, 2, so I don't touch these ones. 1 here. I click on it. I go there. 1. Don't hesitate to move the camera, because sometimes 3ds Max has issue displaying correctly the line you just made. It is there, but sometimes you may not see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. This is boring. Tack, 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 tack. So again, for this MX10S, I didn't make a very high poly model to bake. I consider that as it already was itself quite high poly, well, relatively high poly, it's not a big thing. It was quite long to do, and it was anyway very detailed, so I didn't need to spend a lot of time converting everything to prepare it to turbo smooth, because to be honest with you, I learned how to make turbo smooth and to prepare stuff for turbo smooth after I made this model, so I would have needed to go back to it and convert all the pieces to it. So it's not very well, it's not something you want to learn at the end of the process. It's something you want to learn first, and this is why I show it to you right now. So now, okay, we are going to do something. We're going to click, yes, I didn't yet show it to you, this. I'm going to disable the mouse move right now. Okay, to this one, okay. And what I'm going to do is select the tire, and I want them now to be one single model. So what I do is I select the tire, I click on attach here, and I attach them. Still, I will be able to select each polygon. So for example, up, I click on polygon here, I can select this one, this one, this one, this one, as I want. Once they are attached, you still can separate them like this. And let's say that I would undo what I did, so simply remove this. I want to split them again in two different models, so the rim on one side and the tire on the other side. I simply click on detach here, it asks me to enter a name, and I click on OK, but I won't do it because this is not something I want. Tools and Explorers, hopla, okay. So now let's apply our turbo smooth. Up, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Turbo smooth. Hopla. And you can see that I didn't, by the way, prepare it enough because I didn't make lines for this part, for example. Here, I should do them. So you've got one line here, etc. In order to keep the form, because here it won't keep it. But anyway, you'll get the point, I think. Tack. Okay, so now what I want to do is to make the grip. So this part. We are first going to start with this, okay, with the screws, because they are simple to do. So what I want to do to make a screw like this one, a simple screw like this one, is simply to go in cylinder here, create a cylinder like this, okay, and I'm going to give it, let's say, 8 like this, so it's an hexagonal one, okay, first thing. I'm going to diminish its radius, and it's 8 like this, okay, up, and I convert it to editable poly. I don't need this face here, so I remove it because it is going to get inside the tire just like this, so this one will be invincible, so I remove it. Okay, and now I hold shift by selecting the wall mesh, tack, a new one, and I use the scale tool, and I'm going to write 60, 60, 60 like this, and we're done. We've got a screw. We attached it, tack, and we're done. Okay, so we've got a beautiful screw. We rotate it by 90 degrees. Tack, which is more or less the size I want it to be. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, and I am going to put it in a very specific way. So, let's say, for example, that I want, well, let's say 12 of them, so around this, perfectly aligned. So the first possibility will be to do this, so I put one like this, and then I hold shift, I copy it, and I put it there, etc, etc, and but it is going to be long first, and it is not going to be accurate, and this is something that I want to be accurate. So I click first on my model, and I get the proper X, okay, in order to center it correctly. So X coordinate here, X here. Now I am centered like I want, so I can put it, well, let's say I'm going to put it there. That's fine. And now what I would like to do, well, is to say it, copy it, okay, by a certain angle. So I literally mean I make it rotate, for example, from here to here with this position as a center, so it is going to make a circle like this, tack. And let's say, for example, I put it there, okay, and I tell him, okay, now every this angle, every time you make this angle, you put a screw, and it is going to make it automatically. So I need to prepare it a bit for this. So first, I'm going to go into affect pivot only again. So use that perhaps to be used to using this. I'm going to click on my main model, and I'm going to pick the X first, but it should be fine. I passed it. Then the Y first. Well, it is not mandatory the Y, but anyway. Tack. And the Z, which is the most important. Z up here. And now you can see that my pivot is now here. So if I rotate my screw, you see that it stays on a circle. This is exactly what we wanted. And now I hold shift, and so I set 12, so 360 divided by 12, it makes 30, something like this. So 30 up, 30 degrees, holding shift, I release everything. And now I need to enter the amount of screws I want. So I already have one here, so I only need 11. Okay, and I've done it. That's fine. Now what I want to do is not to have to move one, well, I want them to be one single model, okay? So what I do is simply attach, up, 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 up. Okay, and now I can center back pivot, put them here, and we're fine. Okay, so we've got our basic stuff. I'm going to do it another time with smaller screws this time, so I'm going to come from this one, okay, so I'm going to select this and this, for example, Alt Shift, and I'm going to put it, let's say here, okay, clone to object, so it's a new object, and I need to start back the process from beginning. So first I center it, first, then I'm going to, I want it to be a bit smaller, so I use the scale tool. Let's say we want it to be yes, like this. It's quite good, okay. And this one I want 24 of them, okay. So again I take this. Technically I'm already centered in X. I'm on the right position in X, so I only need the Z coordinates, so the vertical one. So Z up here, I go there, affect pivot only, Z tuck, it is set up. And now 24, so it will be every 15 degrees, tack. And I put not 24 but 23 because there is already one here, 23, and we're done. And now I simply attach them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, tack, 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 et tack. Okay, I put them a bit inside it, like this. Okay, now I want to, all this part that you can see that is inside the rim is a lost space for textures and nothing else. So what I want to do is simply to diminish this at maximum. So I'm going to get in top view, I'm going to get in vertex mode, I'm going to select relatively blindly actually. It should be fine, I guess. Well, get away, be simpler. Okay, I selected it well. Okay, I can re-enable the tire. Where is it? Where is this one? Up here, and I move it just like this. Okay, we're perfect, and we're done. Okay, so now that we did the screws, we want to make this part. So this part is going to be a bit more complicated. So I'm going to sacrifice it. I'm going to move it up. Go away, you on your side. Up, like this. I don't want to keep this. We are going to imagine, okay, so that we only have one photography of the tire, like this. Up, up, up. And currently it is a photography, so it is not looking in a good way. It is looking like this, so it is curved, etc. We've got issue to do it. Tack, and I'm going to put it under the grid, so G to enable the grid, up, tack. Okay, so what we want is to reproduce this shape, okay, and then to copy it in order to make a gigantic band, something like this, a gigantic rectangle with this shape. And then what we want to do is curve it in order to get a circle, and to curve it in order to get this. So you see it is curved toward inside here and here. Okay, so actually currently we are first going to curve it there toward the inside, and then only we will curve it as a circle. So I go back in plane mode, I put a plane, okay, 1, 1, now you know how to do it. Editable poly, I know what I'm going fast, and now I'm going to carefully do it. Tack, tack, tack. Well, it must be more or less like this anyway, because they are not vertical anymore, so I guess they should be around like this. perhaps a bit like this. Okay, let's say this. Okay. Tack. We are not going to make it entirely because it will take 1 hour. Tack like this, and then finally up, rotate it a bit, just like this. We are perfect. Like this one. Then I simply going to copy it. Okay, like this. Okay. Now you go a bit like this. Okay. Tack. Tack. I'm going to remove this face because I don't need it. Up. 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 And this part. Okay. Like this. Well, more or less. It's really more or less here, in case you didn't understand. Then tack. I'm going to simply make one more here. Okay, so they kind of look the same, both of them here. Perhaps just a bit. Well, we are going to put it like this. Scale it down. I'm not trying to reproduce it. Okay, I'm simply making it fast. Okay, so well, we are good. We can remove this. We are going to put 2 here more, and 1 here there, and we're fine. Now what I want to do is to attach all of them. Tack, tack, tack. Okay. I want them to go down a bit, so I select the borders like this, and Alt Shift, just like usually do this. Okay. And now I'm going to use the bend tool. So the bend tool, I have selected everything. Okay, my poly is selected. I go into here. I've got it in my fav here, but it is supposed to be here, like this. And now I am first going to make it rotate in so it is curved like this. So it is a bit tricky to use, but it should be possible to do it quite easily. Okay, so angle, not this. No, this is definitely not the axis I want. Why? This starts to look better. We are going to set it up back to 0. Up. Yes, I know why. Yes, you have to center it, to center the thing. Okay, so now it should be better. I'm going to delete it and start it again. Tack, bend it. Okay, so why we said 90 degrees. Tack. Yeah, like this, it's good. Okay, and as you can see, we are going to put it like this first. Okay, it's done. I collapse. Okay, and now, well, I want to create a lot of them because it is going to be there are going to be a lot of them on this tire. So Alt Shift, put them here. We try to get the relatively same distance, and we are going to put let's say 40. Okay, I exaggerated a bit, I think. Up like this, it should be okay. Okay, and now instead of clicking on attach, well, I click on this one and I do attach. It is going to be long. I select everything, I go on the hammer here and I click on collapse selected, and we're done. So actually you may now meet a little issue because we did this. As you can see, there is something strange. When I select this, the rectangle of selection is like this, and I'm pretty sure that it is going to pad the mess. Yes, it is going to. It is obviously going to pad the mess, so let's... Well, it is not going to be really obvious here. But anyway, when you get such situation, I don't know if it would apply here. Well, now forget about it, we will see it on another tutorial. Okay, so now what I want to do is to make another bend. Now, this time to make the circle. So angle, definitely not this one. X perhaps, yes, it is this one. And we are, oof, I exaggerated a bit. And I've got a big issue, by the way. So why will I get such issue? Well, actually, I'm going to have to show you what I wanted to show you. So as you can see right now, because the rectangle is not correctly aligned, it is doing complete shit, and it is not aligning it in the proper way, and it is not working at all. So what I'm going to do is disable this, and I'm going into the hammer again, and I'm going to click on Reset X Form and Reset Selected, like this. And you can see that now it is fixed, and I collapse them. Okay, and now we can apply our bend. Up, I'm going to use it from 5, okay, and now this should be fine. 360, we've got a circle. Okay, we've got a circle, but it is quite obvious that it is a bit too important for this. So what I'm going to have to do is simply to remove some stuff. And by the way, I'm going to center the pivot. I always forget to do it. So back to it, center, so it goes from here. Okay, up, tack, like this. We are going to put it on the tire. Right, okay. And now bend, just to see X, 360, up, okay. With this to remove, let's say, bend, still not good. Actually, as you can see, we've made far too many of them. Tack, we're simply going to do this up, okay, reset again, recenter this, tack, yes, delete, enable bend, X. Technically it's quite long to do, and it is not yet. Okay, I still have to remove some. Tack, tack. Shit. Like this. Okay, not yet. And again. We will move more. Up. Up. Tag. We're starting to get something which is interesting. Up. It should be fine, by the way. Up. We put it there. Okay. And we've got our partial grip, because I didn't do it entirely, but you get the idea of how to do grip. Okay, so we're fine. We've got our Orandu's tire that no army, except perhaps the, I don't know, the Guinean one would want. So now we've finished the tire, and we are going to get into other stuff. So you can take a break. On my side, I'm going to switch on my cigarette, and we are going to make the mirrors now. Okay, so where is it? The C parallel one. Okay. So this is this thing that we want to make first. Here we are going to bring it here. Okay. So we want to create this. So the idea of it is very simple. Actually, you've got one face here. Well, you've got one simple plate here. Okay. But with a hole, as you can see, it is dug inside. So it is not like this. There is an extruding way. And we've got one cylinder, and we've got this cylinder which is curved like this. So it is going to be quite simple to do. Okay, so first of all, how to make this little thing here with a nice round angle. So this is the first time I'm going to tell you, well, yes, you are going to use a box. So we take a box, we create a primitive box here. We are going to make it really more or less, it's not really important. Okay, like this it should be. Okay, like this. The idea again is to show you how to make stuff, not to reproduce this model, because well, it's 50 hours this one. I'm not going to spend 50 hours of tutorial. Tack, I put it in editable poly first, and now I check a bit how does it look like on this side. Is it, yes, it is curved to here, so I'm going to do what I want to do right now. So I select my finger, I put it there, okay, And what I want to do is simply to chamfer these edges, this one, well, the four which are around. So what I do is I click on one, click on ring, all four are selected, and I click on chamfer, and it does something strange. I set it back around 0, tack, and you can see that, oh, it is interesting to do something interesting. And now what I simply do is that I increase the amount of edges. Well, let's say 8, that's perfect. Like this, okay. And now, very simple for the remaining part, I take this face and I make the usual bevel. So 0, up. We increase a bit, tack, like this, and we've got it. And now, one extruding, tack, 0, up. We've made our mirror. First part is done. Now, second part, a cylinder beneath it, behind it. So I rotate it by 90 degrees in order to work properly on it. Up, tack, 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 and I create a little cylinder, so I'm going to make a 16. 16 one. Up, like this. I'm going, of course, to reduce the radius, reduce the 8. Like this. Put it there. So you can push on S and you will get in stick mode snap tool, actually this is the name. And the snap tool allows you to stick something on a specific thing. So for example here it is set up on vertices. I can modify this, for example vertex, I can ask him to go on face here. So now it is going to select a face, okay, like this, but well, it is not pertinent in this situation, it's not useful. I'm going to center it manually because I'm too lazy to copy paste coordinates, but this is what you should do. You take these coordinates and then you copy them and you pass them from the cylinder coordinates. Put it there, tack, tack. Okay, editable poly. Suppress this one because we don't need it. This one we are going to lower it really a lot. Up, put it there, like this. And so how exactly is it made? We've got this and this. Okay, this is not a really accurate way of modeling stuff. But anyway, yes, I remember why the mirrors were the last thing that I did. I always said, oh, tomorrow mirrors, tomorrow. And at the end I said, oh shit, I started to texture and oh shit, I forgot the mirrors. So I did it in 1 minute. Okay, so now we take this one, we make a bevel, just like usual. Tack. So there are ways, by the way, to do such thing. I'm going to show you in 1 second. Okay, so up. So let's say that I don't want to use the bevel tool because I don't know why. Because it is a fucking practical tool, so I don't really know why you wouldn't want to use it. But anyway, I don't want to use it, so I'm going to erase this face. I'm going to select border here and do this, like this. Okay. So Alt Shift. Now I think you start to understand how it works. And now what I'm going to do is up, like this. So I'm going to hold my click here, and I can select several modes. As you can see, we are going to pick this one. Okay. I right click on it and now I set, for example, let's say 50%. Okay, and we've got it, etc, etc, and we can do this like it. Last one, up 50% again, let's say, for example. Okay, and now two possibilities in order to close this. First one is simply to go here in the edge mode and to click on bridge, and you move this part, but you're going to obtain this horrible thing, which is not something that you want to get. The second way to do it is simply to make this, or no, even better. You select the scale tool, you hold shift, you do this, so it is perfectly horizontal. This, like this. And actually, you've got two ways to do it right now. So you could click on collapse in the border mode. Here, you click here, where is it? Collapse here, and we close it. The second way is simply to click on vertex here, you select all the vertices, and you go in weld, and as you can see, you can weld them just like we did yesterday for something else, I don't remember what. Hopla, and it is welded, and we're done. Okay. Ah, I forgot something with the tire, and I suppressed it. No, I suppressed it. No, I didn't. Yes, yes, there is something that I forgot to show you with the cylinder, with this. Yes, because there is something very important with this kind of shape. If I remove the edges, as you can see, it is looking horrendous. I mean, you perfectly see the various edges. It is not looking high res at all. Okay, so what you want to do, you select it, you select plane, you select everything, you go then in here, smooth, up, auto smooth, collapse, and now, wow, pristine, and that's done. Okay, and this is exactly what we are going to do with this one too, by the way. So we select it now and smooth. So I've got it in my fav, so you will find it in the list, and you do it by yourself. Smooth, and again, you don't see anymore the various edges. Okay, that's perfect. So now, where is my mirror? It is there. So now I need to make this cylinder. Okay. So what I do next is to attach this. Okay. I'm going to put it this way, up 90 degrees. Up. I'm going to bring it here, rotate it. I can already see that it is not at the exact same size, so what we're going to do is simply get in scale mode. Like this. It's better. Up. We are not doing accurate stuff today. Again, up. I'm going to bring it here. Like this. It's not too bad, actually, for the global size. Perhaps just 105. Yes, it should be better like this. Okay, fine. And now we can simply create our new cylinder here. Okay, so create a cylinder, up. I'm going back to edge mode. Up 16 or even 8. Well, we're going to take 16 for this example. Radius, we diminish it. S, in order to snap it up, so like this we can compare directly the 8 feet size of it. So, well, it's more or less like this. We will adjust it. Editable poly. Now right click on it. Well, it's more or less this diameter. Okay, and this 8 like this. And now we are going to reproduce what we want. So this part here. So you could use the bend tool for this, but it is really painful to use for not so much. This is probably what I did because I see that it is not really well done here. It is looking quite shitty. The other way is simply to do this. So you suppress this face, you select the border, and just like usual, Alt Shift, first one, and you rotate it. Let's say we are going to make 30 degrees, so it is whitened down. It is whitened here when I move it. As you can look at it, up here, 30 up, 30 down. Well, I put it on 0 now because I already moved it up. I'm even going to, you know what, hide this because I don't need it. And what I need now to do is to adjust this. Tack. I'm going to put it like this. Up. Move it again. 30 degrees. Up. Remove it. And now 30 degrees again. Bit down. And final one. Okay, and we've made it. And now we simply do what we did earlier. Up this, Alt Shift, tack, we scale it down, up, and collapse. And we're done. Okay. So for this kind of thing, you can perfectly tolerate that there is no 4 squares, etc. that it is made of triangles. It's really not a problem because you don't necessarily want to apply a turbo smooth on this thing. Again, it entirely depends on what you want. If you want to apply turbo smooth at the end of your model, you want mandatorily to get squared faces everywhere. But if you don't want to do it, well, simply don't spend too much time doing it, except for training, of course. Up. There, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be full of astuce. Up, like this, S. I'm going to move it in order to put it like this. We've got it. Okay, and now from what I saw, it is a bit rotated. Now where is it? It is here. Okay, so it is just to be rotated a bit on the right, like this, and it is even rotated a bit like this, up there. Well, we are not too bad. So you get the idea of it. So today we did this. I don't know if there will be a next tutorial. It depends on if people ask for some things. Here I didn't show you a lot actually. What could I show you more? Well, how to make a plate like this one, for example. You get a plane, okay. Yes, I didn't show you something very important while working with plane on the other day. So you take your plane, okay, and let's say that you want now to make it a cube, okay. So we have it here. So the first possibility is, of course, to do this, tac, okay, and then we bridge like this, for example. So this is a possibility. Don't forget to remove this. So this is the first possibility. The second one on far more complex shapes. So this one is not really obvious, but this thing, for example, this plate here, was far more painful. Would have been far more painful to do because originally it was only the external plane that you can see here. Then I have to make it fill it. So it's a bit more complicated because here you see you've got an angle, a 90 degrees angle. So you cannot do it like this. So what you are going to do is simply to get into filters here, and it is in my favorites, by the way. Go down, shell, and now you set up the correct amount, the size you want it to be, the thickness. Collapse, and now it is in editable mesh. You tooth and into editable mesh when you use turbo smooth on other filters like bend. I think it does it too. So you don't want to work in editable mesh, you want to work in editable poly every time, so you convert it back into editable poly. And that's all! So, well, I hope that this tutorial helped you a bit. At least if you're a rookie, I show you quite many things currently today, working with cylinders, etc. It's not a Bible or anything again, but if I can help for a few things, please, you're my guest. Tag this face back here, my beautiful MX Tennessee. But I'm suppressed to. Oh, oof. I didn't save on the main save. So well, have a nice day, have a nice night or anything, and see you next time.